Hello, good afternoon to you all, and welcome to yet again another session of the NICE Global Economic Empowerment and Non-for-Profit Sector session, trying to engage and trying to see how we are able to support different organizations in their journey to achieving impact and also profitization. This is the third session that we are starting. Um, the first one, which started since on the 3rd of March, 2025. And today we are having a fresh session, which we are going to be discussing something different. And today we are going to be discussing on digital support. And it is going to be a very interesting conversation. If you can hear my voice, kindly drop a sign in the chat box. Let me know you can hear my voice. And also give me some sign that you can hear me loudly. Kindly confirm if you can hear me. Yes, you can hear me. Thank you. My name is Abdul Hakim Akimbode. I'm your host, and I'm joined again today by another co-moderator who is going to be partnering with me on this journey. Remember, like I said, today's conversation is going to be looking at something different. We are going to be looking at bridging the digital divide, pardon me, trying to see how digital skills and literacy for economic empowerment can be used to enhance businesses and activities of entrepreneurs as well as CSOs. My name is Abdul Hakim, and today I'm joined by Khadija.
Thank you, Abdul Karim. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. My name is Khadija Omari. I'm from NICE, Tanzania. I'm on the economic department working with NICE. I'll introduce a little bit about NICE. NICE is a social enterprise that provides sustainable solution for business development and consultants for corporate companies, government agencies, and also civils organization. NICE Tanzania, we have three core thematic areas that we mainly focus on. The first one is education, the second one is economic empowerment, and also we have environment. Through NICE, our vision in Tanzania is to strive and to self-reliant communication across Tanzania, where every individual has access to quality education, sustainable livelihood, and healthy environment. And our mission is to collaborate with the local communities in leveraging the unique strength of addressing challenges in education, climate action, and also in economic empowerment. Also in NICE, we have more than 3 projects. Allow me just to mention few. We have social blended finance, we have scholarship, and we also support startups for women-led organization. And I'm happy today to have all of you here. You're most welcome, and let's have a very good interaction discussion. Thank you, Abdul Karim.
Thank you very much, Khadija, for that very elaborate introduction of NICE Tanzania. I'm trying to see how NICE Tanzania has been practicing in that social and also non-for-profit sector, trying to ensure that they support community-based organizations as well as entrepreneurs in ensuring that they scale their activities, as well as giving them financial support, just like she mentioned around blended financing, as well as education for the youth. I think this is part of why we have NICE Global. And NICE Global is not just present in Tanzania. NICE Global is present in Indonesia, is present in Kyrgyzstan, and all of this trying to ensure that there is support for community-based organization and trying to see how to support your cause in navigating through the stormy as well as the rigorous venture of creating social impact. I want to welcome all our guests once again, as well as our participants joining us. Please feel free to select your language option. We have English language for those that can easily understand English language, and we have the interpretation in Kyrgyz For those that are joining us from Kyrgyzstan, do ensure you select your language preference and continue to listen and also participate on this course. While I'm saying that, I also want to say thank you to all of our participants that has been joining us from the beginning of this series. And just for those that are just joining this session, I want to inform you to feel free to drop your comments, your questions. Feel free to drop it in the chat box while the lecture is going on. We are going to take all your questions and queries. We have the expert in the house that is going to be helping us around that. Having said that, let me go back to why we are here. Today's conversation is going to be talking about bridging the digital divide, seeing how digital skills and literacy can be used for economic development and also economic empowerment. We have two giants in the house that are going to be addressing us today. First, we have two Fatma, um, two powerful Fatma from Tanzania. Thank you for joining us. I'll pass the mic to Khadija to kindly help to introduce our guest for today. Fatima, Khadija, over to you. You are muted, Khadija.
Thank you, Abdul Karim. My first speaker, we are going to introduce Ms. Fatma Harun Songoro, an emergency technology, cybersecurity, and international trade in Islamic finance internet, and also a very good corporate specialist on startup, and a young generated leading advocate in Tanzania. Also, we'll be having our permanent secretary from Ministry of Trade in Zanzibar, Honorable Fatma Mbaruk. Back to you, Abdul Karim.
Thank you very much for that very concise introduction. And speaking about our two invited guests, one who is Fatma Mabruk Khamis, who is the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry for Trade and Industrial Development in Tanzania. And she's going to be giving us, she's our guest of honor, and she's going to be giving us the opening speech for this session. And like she also mentioned, that we also have the second Fatma, Fatma Haruna Songoro, who is going to be taking us through the session for today. Interestingly, Fatima, our speaker, Songoro, was just nominated about a week ago, was nominated as one of the young lawyers who is representing the national representative for the Young Lawyer Committee in the International Bar Association for Tanzania, speaking about youth and how they've been creating that impact. We are going to be sharing and learning a lot from Fatma Songoro today. And at that point, please permit me to kindly bring on board our first speaker, who is going to be giving us the opening remark, um, call it a opening remark by the Permanent Secretary. Interestingly, our our guest of honor got a very urgent request, invitation, and official assignment she had to attend to with the president, and she's unfortunately, she's unable to join us right now, but she has done a great deal by ensuring that she gave us a recorded opening speech, which we are going to be playing to all of us to listen to this in the next few sessions. So please, let's have the opening remark. If you allow me, let's have the opening remark of the Permanent Secretary, Fatima Mabruk Khamis.
Honorable guests, distinguished participants, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. I'm delighted to address you today on the important discussion of bridging the digital divide, digital skills, and literacy for economic empowerment. My name is Fatma Mabruk Khamis, the Principal Secretary for the Ministry of Trade and Industrial Development in Zanzibar. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the organizers for convening this forum, which unites all visionaries and stakeholders dedicated to promoting digital inclusiveness. Tanzania in general, which includes Zanzibar, has proactively embraced digital technology as a crucial pillar for socioeconomic development. We have made a number of major developments. For instance, between 2019 and 2024, Tanzania's internet subscriptions have surged from 23.1 million to 86.8 million, and this reflects a growth of over 275%. Our mobile internet subscriptions have reached 47.9 million by 2024, and these were supported by 88% 4G coverage and 20% 5G coverage. Having a large number of citizens connected means that we can expand our reach to provide services in the rural areas without having our citizens to travel long distances for a number of these social services. We have also undertaken a number of efforts to digitalize the education sector. Among the initiatives that we have introduced is the AGCCI coding camps, which have equipped a number of women and girls with digital skills. And these skills include design thinking, web design, robotics, animation, and gaming. These programs aim to bridge the digital gender gap and empower participants in the tech industry. Another initiative is the Solar Mamas. This was launched in 2015, and we have trained 65 women to install solar power systems. And these systems connected 1,858 homes across 29 villages. This initiative has not only enhanced access to electricity, but it has also empowered women as community leaders, but also as professionals in this field. In the digital health sector, in the health sector, we introduced the Jamini Afya program. This was launched in 2018, and the program digitally enabled community health workers to utilize mobile applications to guide service delivery and data collection. The program has led to an increased health facility deliveries among pregnant women, but also a reduction in child stunting. Now, there are a number of strategic focus areas which we aim to focus on for the continued progress, and this would entail that we build on the achievements that we have already achieved so far. And in order for us to be able to bridge the digital divide, we intend to undertake a number of strategies. One is to ensure that we enhance digital literacy by integrating digital skills training into educational curricula, as well as our vocational programs, and these will ensure that both youth and adults are equipped to participate fully in the digital transformation. Another section is we need to ensure that we continue expanding our infrastructure with continued investment in internet connectivity, especially in the rural and underserved areas, which is a priority for us. This includes partnerships with private sector entities to improve service delivery. Another area is to provide support for digital entrepreneurship. This means that we would be promoting innovation hubs and provide access to digital tools and trainings which aim to cultivate a vibrant ecosystem of digital entrepreneurs. And lastly is the policy development, developing policies that promote digital inclusion and protect digital rights and ensure that the benefits of digital transformation are equitably distributed across all segments of the society. As we continue this journey towards digitally empowering Africa and the world, let us remember that technology is a tool and is a means to an end. The true measure of our success will be seen in the improved livelihoods, increased opportunities for our people, as well as empowered communities, which will be a result of our collective efforts. I invite each one of you to actively engage in today's discussion, share your insights, share your expertise, and collaborate towards our shared vision of a prosperous, inclusive, and digitally literate world. It is my hope that today's discussion will be fruitful, and I wish you all the best and wishing you a great day. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. I think that is a well-loaded entry, a very loaded introduction by our permanent secretary that is talking about Fatma. Khamis, taking us through a brief insight into the topic of today. And she's encouraging us to understand the fact that technology is a tool that can be used to achieve whatever we want to use or want to do, whether in our businesses or in education. We can use education, we can use technology, pardon me, as a tool to achieving that. She also encouraged us to have a very deliberative and also knowledge sharing session, which we've also mentioned that, and we are also encouraging all our participants to drop their questions in the chat box. We are going to take all the questions after this session. So I think the next thing is for us to go straight into our topic of discussion for today. Khadija, what do you think?
Yes, now we are highly waiting to hear for our speaker what she's going to share, especially after Honorable Fatma just mentioned few elements. Now it's high time for us to let Fatma proceed with her presentation so that we can have proper discussions with our audience. You're most welcome, Fatma.
Thank you, Hadija. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone, from wherever you're joining us from. I hope you're having a great day, and I'm so happy to be here today, having this conversation on digital inclusion, which I think is very important. And maybe to briefly introduce myself, my name is Fatma Haruna Songoro. I'm a tech and cybersecurity lawyer. I currently work with a firm called Victory Attorneys and Consultants, where I head the firm's technology law department. I'm also very passionate in research. So I also do a lot of research on areas of digital rights, on areas of internet governance, on areas of digital inclusion, data protection, and privacy. So I'm very much interested in the intersection of law and technology. And I am also professionally working with different international and local organizations on areas of technology, policy, and regulatory framework. Maybe with that introduction, I'll briefly proceed to my presentation. And I think us as people who are utilizing digital technology, we all have an understanding of this topic in one way or the other. So I'll encourage everyone to really participate, share your insight, share the lessons that are happening in your country so we can all meaningfully gain from this discussion. And my presentation today is going to focus on sharing insight on how digital literacy and digital skills is actually a powerful catalyst in economic empowerment in this digital age. So I hope we all benefit from this conversation from one way or the other. And with that said, allow me to share my presentation. Hadija, can you confirm if you can see my presentation?
Yes. I hope everyone also can confirm if they're seeing the screen from Fatma presentation.
Yes, so I think they can all see the presentation. And maybe just to give a disclaimer, I guess as a lawyer, I've used different images in this presentation. Please, the images are AI generated and some are open source images, so I do not have any copyright to them. With that, I think I can move to my presentation. And I'll start by explaining digital divide. I am sure one way or the other, you've had what digital divide, you've had the word digital divide. And to maybe basically explain it, digital divide is actually the gap that exists between the people that have access to internet and computer or digital technologies, such as smartphone or other devices, and people who do not have any access to either internet or digital technology. So there is a gap between how someone who uses technology can benefit and the other person who cannot use technology will not realize or gain advantage of this internet or digital technology. So that is briefly what the digital divide is. And when we speak about the digital divide, it comes from individuals, it comes to on a national level, whereby there are areas that are normally marginalized and they do not have internet access, and some that do. And then it also comes on a global level. So there's also a global digital divide, whereby countries in the global north and countries in the global south have different access to internet. And it is also quite true that the digital divide exists in almost every kind of country in the world. So it's not that maybe developed countries such as America and others do not have digital divide. No, they also do. There are areas whereby still internet access is a challenge. But then in the global south, this is something that is more pronounced. And for instance, in the African continent, it is said that it's almost only 26% of the population that have access to internet. So this gap is kind of more pronounced in African country. And maybe when we speak about the digital divide, so there are mainly three aspects that play into the digital divide. One is the access gap. And when we speak about the access, is what I was explaining, that there are two sides to it. So there are areas whereby they have never had internet. So there is no broadband, there is no Wi-Fi that is available in those areas. And the other side of it is we have areas whereby there is internet connectivity, but people cannot afford to buy maybe the internet band or to afford Wi-Fi. And this also results into the digital divide. And according to Alliance for Affordable Internet, it is said that in the African continent, internet is very expensive for most Africans, whereby it can even be 5% of someone's income. So 5% of it maybe would give them 1 GB. So imagine someone who wants maybe to utilize the digital space, but has to pay almost 5% of their monthly income to just get 1 GB. So it becomes quite impractical for them to either utilize the internet or stay on the internet. And so that is how this access gap is. The other aspect to it is skills gap. So as you can see from the definition, it's not just about having access to internet, but it's also about effectively utilizing digital technology. And this is how we can be able to say that we have full digital inclusion and the digital divide is actually being breached. And when we speak about the skills gap, we speak about people lacking the basic literacy, digital literacy, on how to use digital technology. So you find someone has a smartphone, they have internet, but they can't use a search engine. Or maybe the tools or the app that they are within their phone are in a language that they do not speak. So I come from Tanzania, we primarily speak Kiswahili. And I know I once met someone who had a phone, but she told me, so I have this smartphone, but I cannot take a video. Now, where should I take a video? Because every time I open my camera, I just take pictures. So even for them to realize that you could actually swipe and there will be a video option is something that they do not know. So someone could have the device, but then can you effectively utilize it? And so this lack of digital literacy in how to use this technology, it also results into that digital divide. And so the last gap is on usage. I know maybe skills and usage might seem to have similar aspect. However, when we speak about the usage gap, it's more broader than the skills, and it actually refers to someone utilizing digital tools for economic and social progress. So it's one thing to utilize the technology for maybe entertainment, but it's another when someone is able to use it in a manner that can economically benefit them. So when we speak about the usage gap, it's the ability of people to use technology and contribute meaningfully to their economic status, or they're able to use. So in most underdeveloped country, most people underutilize digital tools. And what this results, it also results into also the digital gap, and people not understanding on how they can actually use their skills to overcome the economic and social barriers that they have. So I might be unemployed and I might have access to the internet, I might have the smartphone, but maybe I do not even understand that I could get a virtual job. I could do maybe some designing for someone online. And that is also how we lose the economic opportunity. I recently met an investor who came into Tanzania, and they're from Africa, but they told me that they kept it a call hiring a virtual assistant. The application was from people primarily not from the African continent. So he ended up getting a virtual assistance, I think from, I think if it's not Philippine, and he says that the virtual assistance has been very helpfully, it's like he has a personal assistant, but now the assistance is just virtually, and he's paying him. And that example just shows how we as people in most people who are coming from underdeveloped countries are not looking for this opportunity and utilizing the digital space in a manner that will empower us economically. So that is the usage gap. And as maybe indicated, it's true that most people who normally do not have access to internet or lack the skills are people who will come from rural areas, or women and the elder population in our societies, and also people who are marginalized or come from lower income. So the most affected people by the digital divide are this group that most of the time would find themselves they're not able to utilize the digital technology. And of course, there are regional differences on how the global south utilizes the digital economy and the global north. And this is something that also needs to be taken into consideration. And so that is briefly what the digital divide is. And for, I hopefully anyone who is in this conversation now has a better understanding on what it means. And so I'll move to my next slide. And so this next slide actually highlights what are the factors. So we have understood what the digital divide is, but then what contributes to this digital divide? So one thing is that is contributing a lot to the digital divide is infrastructure. So there's an equal distribution of broadband, of Wi-Fi within different region and different areas. And I think even in countries that we're coming from, I think we'll all agree that the urban areas probably are more well connected than the rural areas in our country. And so this results into that digital divide, whereby some people have that access. And the reason why infrastructure is a challenge, it's because in order for you to connect people, you will be required to keep infrastructure. Now, the investment that is required into setting up infrastructure is normally very high, and most of the low-income countries are not able to fully have infrastructure across and throughout the country. And it is common that citizens are spread across each area of the country. And so the cost of infrastructure and having countries such as Tanzania, whereby Tanzania is such a big country, and so the population is also very scattered and spread. So there is also that challenge of having infrastructure everywhere, having maybe fiber option reach out everywhere across the country. And the other factor that is contributing is affordability. So I've spoken about affordability of internet in the first slide, and I wouldn't repeat it, but there's also affordability of devices. So there are people who are not able to buy a smartphone. There are people who are not able to afford maybe to buy a laptop. And this has resulted into most people not being able to participate in the digital space because they cannot afford. Some countries have very high tariffs on things such as phones or laptop, resulting into people not being able to actually purchase them. And I know a lot of countries are also working toward solving this challenge. For instance, in Tanzania, the government is trying to work on how we can have maybe smartphone locally manufactured and how they can try to deal with this contributing factor to the digital divide. And the other one would be skills gap, which I think is also very self-explanatory and already explained. Maybe let me move to the policy challenge. So, of course, digital divide is an economic issue in any country right now, because we'll all agree that we're in the digital age and every country is trying to capitalize on the digital economy. However, there are a lot of policies and regulatory challenge that also make it very difficult for people to for countries to bridge the digital divide. So taxes are one of area. You'd find sometimes for instance, in African country, the internet is said to be costly, but it's because there are a lot of taxes, a lot of levies that are also kept on these bundles that people want to buy from mobile network service provider. And the telecom sector is highly taxed. And so what this results into is having internet that is very expensive, whereby most people cannot be able to afford. This speaks to having proper policies in tax, whereby there are more favorable tax in countries, but it's also speaks to not having, as a country, not having digital inclusion strategy or initiative or policies that would help that. And maybe, for instance, in Tanzania, the government was aware of this challenge of the digital divide, and they did establish a specific entity that is called the Universal Communications Service Access Fund. So in short, it's called USCAF, but generally, this organization is geared toward ensuring that there's connectivity and network at the last mile of the country. So it works with telecom and different stakeholders in the ecosystem to ensure that they're able to take internet services to very rural and peripheral areas, whereby it will not economically make sense for this telecom or maybe internet service provider to make investment in those areas. So they provide incentive, they work towards establishing shared infrastructure and ensuring that people in the rural areas are able to actually be connected. So this is one of the examples on how countries can actually come up with a strategy. We have a law actually on specifically the Universal Communication Service Access Fund, and the law is quite clear on what that organization has to do. And with that basis of having a law, it actually help a lot in implementation, in government acting, and in ensuring that we bridge the digital divide in the country. And so a lot of policy and regulatory framework are quite important in bridging the digital divide, because it's true that the digital divide and digital inclusion is something that requires everyone's participation. And you'll also look, even Kenya has, I think, a very well structure similarly to Tanzania. Rwanda has, and all these countries similarly are working toward bridging, or this is one way in which they're working toward bridging that gap. The last one, I think, of the factors contributing would be cultural and social barriers. So we speak about the digital divide, but there's also the gender divide, whereby it's common to have more men who are utilizing digital technology and being able to capitalize on that, whereas women are left behind. And so what this results into is the gender digital divide. And I think in most countries, you would find that there are certain, I would say, like cultural understanding, or maybe women should not use this digital technology, or a women should not do this. So these stereotypes also contribute to the digital divide, because they actually keep people away from the digital space, and they're not able to utilize the digital space. But it also comes to challenge such as cybersecurity issues, online scam and fraud. So for instance, I know someone who was using a certain platform, and I think they were scammed. So what happened is that they decided that the technology's space is not safe, and they just decided now they will not utilize that technology, the app that they were using. But having challenges such as cybercrime, fraud, online scam are also keeping people away or deterring people from getting involved into the digital technologies. And the other thing is age-related challenge, whereby you'll find, of course, older people maybe not able to utilize or to understand technology. So they also feel like maybe the technology is not for them, the digital space is not for them, but that is not true, because we can all benefit from the digital technology, despite of what age you are. Like, there's advantage for everyone. And I think also resistance to new technologies is also another common thing. So it is said that in most countries whereby technology is not well embraced, people are very resistant in utilizing or using technology. And so they do not prefer maybe having online services. They do not prefer using online e-commerce. And all this results into furthering the digital divide or underutilization in our countries. And so briefly, these are the key factors that I would say contribute to the digital divide across most jurisdictions or countries. And I'll move to the next slide. So I think this slide aims to highlight the critical role of digital skills and literacy. And when we speak about digital skills, as explained, it deals with having the ability to use digital devices, communication, and network to access and manage information effectively. And so when you speak about digital skills, and anyone who has digital skills is able to come in the digital space and utilize it and gain benefit and realize economic advantage. Whereas someone who lacks the skill will probably not be able to do that. And when we speak about digital literacy, so with digital literacy, we're speaking of the ability for someone to navigate, evaluate, and create information using a various range of technology or tools or resources. And so someone who is digitally literate, I think it's someone who is able to, one, interpret or know how to use data, to understand the kind of tools that they're using, to know how, if they want to create content, how they can do it, what are the nitty-gritties around it, what are the factors, what are the ethical implications. I think nowadays we have a lot of people using ChatGPT, so it's a very commonly used resources. But if you're using ChatGPT, do you understand the implication? Do you understand the privacy concern that maybe you would be uploading information that are very sensitive, or you're exposing people's personal data in that open source tool? Do you understand what are the bias that AI systems have? Are you aware of that your online activity leave a digital footprint? Is this something that you're aware? Or are you just using the technology blindly without knowing what are the implications, without knowing what are the ethical consideration, and without fully understanding maybe on what are the limitation of these tools? So when we speak about digital literacy, we speak about having a community or society where people understand the tools that they're using, and they're able to utilize them effective in a manner that is creative, in a manner that is very critical, in a manner that is very confident. For instance, there is an issue of misinformation and disinformation. So I think anyone would agree with me. Sometimes we see AI-generated image that are not true, but maybe would show something or deceive something in a manner that looks really real. So they're called deep fakes. So how do you scrutinize maybe the content you see online? Are you able to tell what is fake or what is not faked? What is not fake? So there are different tools such as fact-checking tools which you can utilize. So all this speaks to digital literacy. And when it comes to economic empowerment, the digital skills and digital literacy are the two things that will make someone to be able to realize economic benefit and become economically empowered. So anyone who wants to explore opportunity such as employment in the online space, who wants to create content, who wants to sell their product, who want to utilize different platforms, they need to have these digital skills and digital literacy. And so this is why having digital skills and literacy is critical. I'll move to the next slide, which is an example on how the digital divide is affecting communities and our economy. I think maybe I'll make a reference. So I don't know if maybe most of you are familiar with TikTok. There is one of the famous TikToker, or I think he's the most followed person on TikTok, is called Kabi. And Kabi is a person who makes video without speaking, and ideally he narrates how to do things in a manner that is very simple than how complicated people make it seem on the internet. And so Kabi was employed, but when COVID happened, he lost his job and he started making content on TikTok. So he had no followers, but he made content, I think from 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And I think up to now, he has become one of the most followed person on TikTok. He has been able to transform his life. I think he even got listed in Fortune's Forbes 30 under 30. And that speaks to how he was able to create content online and be able to earn and generate income out of that content. And now he works with global brand to market or to show different product. And it has been something that has inspired a lot of people. So I think Kabi is based from Senegal, but he was living in Italy at the time when he had moved to Italy. But that Kabi is one of the person that is normally used to show the opportunities that are available. So when we talk about the digital divide, think about someone now who maybe has the skills, the talent as Kabi, but they do not have internet access. Now, even if they were able to be a comedian or to make content, it will not be possible for them to generate income without having access to internet. And so that speaks to it. I think even in Tanzania, we have one of the most followed person on TikTok and famous is a Tanzanian called Zero Brainer. So he specializes in sport content creation in a manner that is funny, and he has been able to win the sport content creator of the year for TikTok. And he's from Tanzania, and without an app such as TikTok, without him having a smartphone, without him being able to engage his community, because a lot of what he does is also through engaging his community, he would not have been able to have the opportunity or explore this area. So these examples are how the lack of internet or ability to utilize digital technology can actually result into people failing to realize economic benefit. And so a lot of people are not able to utilize remote jobs. They're not able to sell their product maybe online. They're not able to fully participate in the digital economy just because they do not have access to internet. And they're not able to earn more compared to people who are mostly in urban areas whereby they have access to internet, they can sell their product, they can create content and earn income. So the digital divide in most countries has very significant impact on economic, and it results into widening economic gap also. And if anyone is trying to maybe start a business or do something, it's quite clear that in this age, when you have an online platform, it becomes much more easier and you're able to explore more opportunity. So I think this is something that is very easily seen or demonstrated in our community. I think when we look at areas that are very marginalized or do not have access to internet, we'll be able to tell how people are being affected. And for anyone who is thinking about the digital economy, for countries who are thinking about digital economy, it's truly about having the population and everyone being able to participate in that economy for it to be fully beneficial. So digital inclusion is quite a big aspect to it. And I think maybe with that said, we'll also remember during the COVID time. So when COVID happened, that is, I think it also gave a push for people to utilize more the online and digital space. And we were able to see how utilizing the digital space could actually benefit you economically. And so that is a good example of how and why we need to really invest into bridging the digital divide. I'll move to the next slide. So these are some of the statistics. One of the statistics is from the World Bank data, which says that about 1/3 of the global population, which is approximately 2.6 billion people, remained offline in 2023. And one of the statistics that is said, in high-income country, 90% of the people were connected to the connected or used internet, while in lower-income country, only 1 in 4 people was able to use internet. And that is, I think, a statistic that speaks volume, and it really shows that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So there's another also statistic. I think this is one of the most recent statistics that I saw, done by Giga. Giga is a project that works with ITU and UNICEF. And so they say that it's estimated 32% of the world population is still offline, similarly to what the World Bank was saying. Only for them, this was in 2024. So it seems that still there's quite a big gap. And it is said that the digital divide seems to be being bridged in a manner that is very slow. And so this is a global or problem, and which requires very strategic planning and resolution. And I think most of the time, the digital divide disappropriate affect marginalized community, hindering economic advancement, and how we can close this gap, we'll see in the next coming slide on how we can close it. And maybe speaking from African perspective, so the AU is also working a lot on building framework on encouraging government in Africa to actually plan and create policies that would speak to this. So there is the Africa Digital Compact, which I believe there's also the Global Digital Compact. You can just search and find this document. It has a lot of pillars on how African countries can really go about the digital economy. And so the first pillar in that document is ensuring affordable access to digital technology. And as we've been speaking, so there are a lot of pillars that are listed in that document, and they provide a lot of insight. There's also the Global Digital Compact, which is also available. And also the EU has the digital transformation strategy for Africa, I think 2020 to 2030, which is also a very good document providing further detail. And I think even at national level, there are a lot of frameworks that are developed for digital economy, for digital transformation. So for instance, in Tanzania, we have Samia Digital Transformation Strategy, which is very detailed on the roadmap on how Tanzania wants to take digital transformation. We have things whereby the government is working toward having a Jamii number, whereby it's an identity, a digital identity for people, on how someone will be able to access all public services, just utilizing that number, and they're building this framework. We also have the Tanzania Digital Economy Strategy Framework, which details on how we want our digital economy and space to move, which I believe is similar to most of the countries. So if you want to learn or understand more, you can look for countries' digital economy strategy and how they address the digital divide and push forward for digital inclusion. So my next slide is on digital skills for economic empowerment. So when we speak about digital skills, they're normally basic skills, advanced and emerging skills that are normally considered. And the basic skill will speak to internet, use of internet, email communication, platform and network. Whereas when it comes to advanced, it comes to skills such as coding, software development, data analytics, cybersecurity, and all these skills. And so in most countries or in most area where the digital divide gap is wide, it's also true that there's a lack of skills. So we have a low number of people maybe who are trained on digital skills such as coding, or who are able to maybe deal with the issues of cybersecurity, digital forensic, and so all these also are skills that are missing in most countries or jurisdiction where there is a wider digital gap. And so this means that as we're speaking about the digital divide, we need to understand how we can increase digital skills in the country or in the areas that we exist. The last one, which has come up in the recent year, is emerging skills. So with AI and technology advancing in a very fast pace, we're seeing a lot of emerging skills that are being required. We have the likes of prompt engineering. This is something that has just come up due to generative AI use. And so all these skills are things that do require to be learned in our country, and for people across all age ranges. And I think I'll maybe refer through a platform that maybe I would encourage anyone who would want to learn. So there is one called Atingi. Atingi is a platform that offers a lot of courses. Anyone who wants to learn about digital skills, digital transformation, you want to learn about content creation, the available courses. I think if you just search Atingi, you can find the free courses. Most of them, I think, are freely available tools and resources, and they're very well detailed. I personally have done a lot of courses on Atingi, so I would encourage anyone to look at them. And then there's GCF Global, which is also a platform that has explanation on digital skills from the use of Microsoft Excel, the use of a computer, how to use an email. All this information are also available. So interestingly, I think I've come across EU, the European Union has the digital skills and job platform. So I think I've gone to that platform at some point, and they did have the basic, advanced, I think, and it wasn't emerging, but there was another category of skills. And when I did click the basic skills, I think that is very advanced skills even for me. So I realized this EU is probably in a different space with regard to their digital skills, because for them, I think when they're doing the basic skill, a lot of their population maybe is already capacitated with the basic skill that I, maybe coming from a country which is low developed, has. But you can also check the EU digital skills and job platform. It also has some of these skills that are listed there. I'll move to the next slide. So this slide speaks to the challenge that exists in digital literacy. And I think most of them are self-explanatory and maybe repetitive to what I was saying. So maybe I'll skip that and I'll move to the next slide. So this slide speaks to the future of digital literacy and economic empowerment. And maybe I'll just give an example of one of the countries that seems to have been able to really develop a stronger digital society. So Estonia is one of the countries that is normally referenced as the country that has fully become digital. And they've been able to do that because they did invest a lot into digital skills, into the infrastructure. And even when COVID came, most countries were actually, I'll say, perplexed with the situation. But Estonia was able to move through because they did have online education system, public services already online. Everything was already set. So even when COVID came in, they were able to just move on with their whole activities without being much affected with shutdown. There was already a lot of online operations. So if you're looking to explore or learn from a country, Estonia is one of the countries that has a lot of stronger digital economy and society. And so when we speak about the future of digital literacy, we're focusing on trends that are upcoming, both in the education, in the workforce, and how best they can be embraced. So I think, as you can see in the slide, these are some of the things that are to be considered. I would say online learning is something that is gaining a lot of traction. We are seeing a lot of institutions offering online courses or option, and it's expected that it will keep rising, and people might prefer that way. But it's also true that currently, due to AI, there's a lot of change in how work is done at workplaces. So I know maybe in the past, AI was not very common. So a lot of tasks were done by individuals, but it is true that with AI, a lot of tasks can be done with AI tools or platform. For instance, there's a platform whereby if I want to maybe to make a presentation, I can just type in and it will make the presentation for me. It's called Gamma, if anyone has ever heard it about. We have platform, I'm a lawyer, and there are a lot of platform which can create contracts for you. So even I, as a lawyer, would be able to utilize that platform, but that also means jobs are being displaced. So if someone maybe did require to hire a certain number of people, they might be able to perform their work with even a lesser number of employees. But it also speaks, even the people who will be employed will need to be people who understand these AI tools or who are able to utilize them. And I think, as it's commonly said, that AI will not replace you. It will be the person who uses AI that would replace you in your job. So it's truly upon each one of us to actually understand AI and to learn these tools, to learn their limitation, to capacitate ourselves. And maybe I'll move to the next slide. So this slide actually speaks to what we can do maybe in addressing or bridging the digital divide. There's a lot that we can do. And I would like to say that the digital divide is something that can be addressed by each one. So whether you're coming from the government, whether you're coming from a private institution, whether you're coming from a non-for-profit institution, we all have a role to play. Regardless of the institution that you're coming from, because it's really about everyone playing a role into making it possible. So as seen, so infrastructure development is one of the key thing, and maybe I'll give an example to that. So there's a lot of companies and even non-for-profit entities who are assisting the government with infrastructure and even creating public Wi-Fi in rural areas. I'll give an example. Tanzania, we have the Internet Society of Tanzania, and it had a project called the Tanzania Digital Inclusion Project. So this project actually won the 2024 World Summit of Information Society Prize because it aimed at connecting citizens by providing community network and hubs in schools. And in those schools, they set up internet services that could be accessed by anyone. And they kept program to teach people about digital skills, to teach adults, people who are above 18, to teach them about digital education, to teach them about e-learning, to teach girls about STEM. And so this project truly spoke on how we can bridge digital divide. We have spoken about internet being very costful and not affordable for most people. But imagine if we have a community contributing small amount, and then they have areas, an area whereby they can all access that internet and they can utilize that internet. And so these are some of the ways in which people are trying to address the digital divide by creating this community network, by building innovation hub into very rural and peripheral areas and trying to capacitate people on digital literacy. So as the slide indicates, the three things, infrastructure, affordable access, and training programs, are what would really address the digital divide in the country. And I would think, so there is an organization called the Basic Internet Foundation, and they normally have, I would say, like this a short statement whereby it actually speaks to making internet a basic human right, and whereby they advocate for having internet access as if it was a road. When we speak about infrastructures in our country, the government build the roads. And so this is similarly to the government building internet infrastructure, and whereby people do not have to pay to use or to utilize that internet. So think about it as internet being the road that is being constructed. And once it's actually constructed, people have free access, just like how no one will prohibit you from using the road that has been constructed in your country. And so that is also something that a lot of activists are really pushing for in different countries, for internet to be considered as basic right that is freely accessible to everyone. And I'll finalize, I think, my presentation with just stressing maybe on the need for collaboration and partnership, and insisting that everyone has a role to play. And this speaks to education sector. We normally say that we want the younger generation to be taught about digital skill, digital literacy from school. But it also means that we need to have curriculums that incorporate that. We also need to have this digital technology, computers available in those schools, because we can't just have a curriculum without having the internet, without people having the computers. It will not be possible for them to now theoretically learn about the digital space. And it also means about capacitating the teachers or the people who are going to teach them. So there's a lot of learning and relearning that needs to happen, both to everyone who is already maybe in the institutions, and even people who are in being educated. So this is something that has to be done both ways. And for the non-for-profit sector, I think there's a lot of training and capacity building that can be done in underserved population and community, and really ensuring that digital inclusion is possible in every community, in every country. And for businesses also who are building products or tools or developing anything or providing internet, we all need to keep access to internet at the center of those services or digital products, so that we're able to bring people into the digital space. And of course, I wouldn't even stress much on the government, because it's quite clear they do have a critical role in making this possible. So with that said, I think I'll end my presentation there, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Asante Sana. Thank you so much, Fatma, for that very loaded and deep rooted conversation on technology, trying to see how we are able to bridge the gap, the digital gap. How can we do that? You have taken us through a lot of journey. You have also taken us through practical approaches to how we can ensure the participation of all stakeholders, because it is important to understand that this is not going to be done in a day. It is not going to be achieved in few years. There's need for everybody to be together, and all hands has to be on deck. And on that note, I'm not going to take a lot of time, because we have spent so much time trying to go through the journey of your presentation. So, and I know that our participants already have questions that they want you to shed more light. So we would want to take a very few minutes to take those questions. And Khadija, what do you think? Would you mind to just share the questions?
Thank you, Abdul Karim. Of course, with today's rapid involvement world of the digital inclusion, we have a few questions. One question from Noor, What metrics should be used to measure the success of digital empowerment to progress in driving real economic change? That was the first question. And the second question comes from Chris Kisdan again. Thanks for the great presentation. With the rise of AI and automation, how can people future-proof their digital skills to stay relevant in the job market? I think we should go with the first two questions and then we can proceed with other two more questions. Abdul Karim, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think Fatma, you'd want to help us take that question. The first one around AI and automation, and also how can we future-proof, pardon me, how to future-proof our digital skills. I think those two questions are very critical. Fatima.
So maybe I'll start with one metric. I think I had Adija read it clearly. So I think the question is on how should we measure the success of digital empowerment program in driving real economic change? And yes, I would agree, this is quite tricky, but I think they're important metric that we can always see on how we can measure. So I would say one is seeing how the digital economy is contributing to the national income GDP. Like we can always tell how much is that sector contributing. And that is one of the metrics that we could use. But we could also use things such as uh, people seeing how maybe people are being able to get employed through this online, or they're able to have opportunity or explore opportunity through the online space. So that could also be another metric of measuring how that people are able to utilize and gain economic advantage or income through the digital space. And also we could use for things such as affordability, we could see or try to study, have correct statistic on how far we have done, how far the cost of internet has dropped down, on how the taxes are being taxed in those areas. So these are all kind of metric I would say that maybe would be used in measuring the impact and how we can measure our progress in addressing the digital divide. Maybe, so the second question was on AI, but maybe I did not hear it very well. If you can explain it.
I think the question is about AI and automation and
Mm,
how they are coming on board, rapidly changing the landscape. So how
mm,
can we future-proof our skill, also
mm,
looking at the advancement of AI and automation, how to stay
mm.
relevant?
Okay, so I think this is one of the common questions that we normally all ask ourselves, or we hear it. If you look at the World Economic Forum, they did a report on the future of jobs, and you realize there's a lot of professions that will be highly impacted with AI and automation. And the truth is that technology is here and it will keep advancing. Like we will not walk back or trace back our step. The only thing that I would say is that whatever profession you're in, whatever job you're doing, you need to be able to tell how AI is structuring or impacting that job that you're in, and then to understand what are the kind of skills that you would need now that to remain relevant in that skills. So I am sure a lot of jobs, there's a lot of things that will still require human intervention or human participation. So it's not like we'll only have robots in this, especially in this near future, but it means that you would need to learn certain skills. So having the capacity to learn is something that is going to, I would say, help you a lot. For example, I'll give an example. I am a lawyer. in the introduction, Abdul Karim highlighted that I have been appointed to the International Bar Association. And last year, I attended the annual conference for International Bar Association. So I come from Tanzania, and the adoption of AI in law firms or in the legal space in Tanzania is not very quite advanced. There's quite low usage. But when I went to that conference, I realized that law firms in America, law firm in EU are actually building their own internal generative AI, such as ChatGPT system that is primarily based on their documents, their court records. So they're building this tool internally as the law firm. And they were saying that we're looking to hire junior lawyers who are coming into the employment. We want someone who can analyze the AI output and critically indicate what are the missing gaps. So that skills of being able to analyze AI output is something that is critical, for instance, in my profession, being able to know what kind of prompt you can use. So they say most people use ChatGPT, but most people do not get a good output. They say there's bad prompt and then there's a genius prompt. Even how you're prompting that AI tool will result into different output. So we could be 20 people and we could all be given the same question, but one of us will come with a better. Whoever can keep a correct and very specific, well detailed, and a prompt that will prompt AI in a manner that gives the intended results will be the one that will be successful. So learning maybe how to prompt AI system, learning how to analyze AI output, understanding the limitation of this AI tools, being able to do that, I think is how you'll be able to keep up with the changing pace of technology. And even though most of the time we think that maybe AI would only impact certain sectors, it will actually impact all sectors. So anyone at this day and age would truly needs to be investing into upskilling themselves and learning and relearning. So this is what I would say. And I hope whoever asked the question, I don't know what background they do have, but I think you can specifically look into what is happening into your profession and learn on how or what skills are required in this digital age.
Thank you very much, Fatima. I think that is the summary. It is about advancing your skills from time to time, trying to check out the trends and also trying to see how you can remain relevant in the course of maintaining your sustainability. I think that is very critical for everybody. There's need to continue to upgrade and also advance our skill set, and that way we can always remain relevant wherever we find ourselves. I think I want to take another question, Fatima, if you allow me. And
No
after this
worries.
question, we'll be wrapping up because we are a bit far into our schedule. So the question is, one of the question here is saying that recognizing the disadvantages to lack of access to internet and affordability, how specifically can women entrepreneurs join the digital space to harness the skills and e-commerce, as well as what are the gender-specific inequalities that they are faced, talking about women in the tech space. Yeah.
Uh, so I think that is such an important question. We struggle a lot with women participation in the technology space. From skill, there's a wider skill gap in the STEM. There's a wider gap in industry leaders who are in the tech spaces for women. And even when it comes to the utilization of digital technology in businesses. And what I would say is that most of these challenges can actually be addressed by, I would say, awareness, by encouraging people to understand the technology, by encouraging women to learn tech related courses. If you know someone, if you have a relative, if you have a daughter, if you have a son or a girl, encourage them to pursue tech-related courses or subject, or even for them, even if they're specializing in another area, to kind of understand the other. And for most of the time in our communities, for instance, I see a lot of women who struggle with utilizing the basic tools. So even Instagram, I go to a salon and my salonist has an Instagram page, but she tells me, so I don't have followers. I don't even know now how to create a video, how to create a reel. So what happens to her is that she sees all these other big salonists that are making a lot of good video. They have a lot of followers. They have a lot of engagement, but now she cannot even grow her engagement, and she's now just frustrated. But what this tells is just there has to be a very intentional and dedicated effort in educating women, in creating programs that specifically are for women in business, in letting them understand of the opportunities, in letting them to understand how they can sell their product online, on how they can brand themselves, on how they can sell their product beyond the jurisdiction that they operate in, so they're able. But one thing that actually keeps women away from the digital space, I'll say, is the online harassment and bullying that normally happens to mostly women online. Because sometimes people would post and they will face backlash. And we have seen women pulling out of the use or being scared to use the technology space because of the cyberbullying, the online harassment, and it feels like it's not a safe space for women because of incidents such as those. However, there has to be policy and regulatory framework that really push in creating a safe internet space that would make it possible for women to participate, that would also encourage women to utilize, I would say, the technology. So this is something that would require maybe CSOs or non-for-profit building program that speaks to women in business and how they can utilize the technology. It will require government doing that, and even us individuals, because at the end of the day, one way we live in this community, we know some women who are struggling and we can always help and assist. So it's also upon us to build this capacity to the people around.
Thank you very much, Fatma, for that very deep response. I think it also speaks to the fact that we are actually acknowledging the challenges that we face as gender irrespective, but also we can't we can't ignore the fact that a gender is more exposed than the other gender. But it's when we see people like Fatma coming on board, young lawyer in technology, and also driving impact in the society at also, and also in global space. I think this is an encouragement for other young women, ladies out there to chase your dream and also try to invest in yourself. It is not enough to aspire. There is need for us to also fuel our burning desire by ensuring that we try as much as possible to advance our skill. I think on that note, I'm going to just ask you, Fatma, to give us a very closing summary. If you have 2 words that you want to say to our participants, as far as you know, and as far as engagement you have received, um, in the technology space in terms of consulting and also solving problem for entrepreneurs, for businesses. What is the keynote you want to, I mean, key message you want to tell our audience to advance their entrepreneurial activities?
Uh, anyway, so I think maybe what I would say is really on awareness and understanding, because I think that's really the key in realizing the benefit of the technology. So understanding the tools, the products that are available, because there's a number of them. Like whatever you want to do right now, trust me. Like you want to write your resume, you want to create a demo. There's an app that creates demo for you. There's everything. So just having that awareness and understanding is what I would say. And maybe just lastly, I would also insist in one thing. So research is also a critical part, and I will encourage more research and more understanding on how technology is affecting or impacting and how best it can be fashioned. Because I think that is what will truly inform us in this journey.
That is truly what is going to inform us in this journey. And what is that? research, and awareness, as mentioned by Fatma. I think on that note, thank you very much, Fatma, for taking us through the journey for today's session. Over to you, Khadija. Do you have anything you want to say before I wrap up?
From my end, thank you so much, Fatma, for sharing your knowledge and expertise. Your explanation for the data was very incredible, clear, and easy to follow. We hope our audience, their presentation was well structured and easy to follow. Just to say, overall, digital inclusion is a fundamental necessary for economic empowerment, social mobility, and civil engagement and well-being in today's rapid evolving world. That we should take up the start kick, especially we women, the goal behind SDG 5 that says no leaving any woman behind. I think this is a great opportunity and we hope to have more session, inshallah, after Ramadan. Thank you so much. Back to you, Abdul Karim.
Thank you very much, Abdul Hakim. Abdul Hakim is my name, by the way. I've noticed that over and over I've been hearing Abdul Karim. So I was wondering, my name is Abdul Hakim Akimbode. I think I want to use this opportunity to thank all our participants. I want to say a big thank you to our permanent secretary for taking our time to send us the recorded version of our speech, and also giving us a very detailed speech, trying to open this session for us. We really appreciate you, Madam Permanent Secretary. And again, a big thank you to Fatma for giving us that presentation, well-loaded, well-researched presentation, and also sharing our expertise with us. Really appreciate you. To all our audience, we appreciate the fact that you've been following us through the first, the second, and today being the third session. We really appreciate your participation, and we tell you that you can only wait for more, because we still have more loaded in the coming weeks. And I want to use this opportunity as well to thank our team in the head office, in the headquarters, in the talking about NICE Indonesia in Jakarta. Thank you all to the technical team at the back end, led by Fadil and Faris. Thank you very much for joining. And again, to all our CEOs in different regions, CEO in Tanzania, CEO in Indonesia, and CEO in Kyrgyzstan, we say thank you for joining this session. Thank you to Iskandar, our interpreter, who has been doing a great job for us from the first session till today, trying to interpret from English to Kyrgyz for our participants in Kyrgyzstan. I say a very big thank you to every one of you for joining. You're going to be witnessing another session in the coming weeks. Stick to your email. We'll send you updates on our next session, and we say thank you very much. Let's continue the conversation. Hit us on our LinkedIn and also our IG. Reach out to us, Nice Global, and let's have the conversation still burning. And Fatima, we hope to engage you again in the coming days by the grace of God. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining once again. Abdul Hakim Akimbode, and thank you, and have a very restful and refreshing weekend ahead. Bye-bye.